The one big thing that I want to talk about is something that's been going down the last 48 hours. Particularly, it actually started during my marathon, all right? And it persisted throughout that marathon and even into my day off yesterday. And I felt that it would be an interesting topic to talk about. By the way, Iron Chef Sakai has gifted the first sub of the day over on Kick. So thank you, Iron Chef Sakai. Let's get you on the leaderboard. I appreciate that. Now we're up to $70 of support and climbing, almost halfway to our goal for the stream. Let's hit it. Okay. So, for the first time in a very long time, out of nowhere, back on Friday, February 7th, PlayStation Network went down. And unlike other times that it's gone down in recent memory, it didn't go down for an hour or two and then come back up. This was an extended outage. This lasted over 24 hours. And for the first time in many years, people started to realize just how big of a deal it is when one of these game networks go down and how much it actually affects your access to content. Okay? This outage lasted over 24 hours, and then it started to slowly come back for people over the course of the last 24 hours. But some people right now actually are still reporting that it is down for them, while others are saying that it went up like fast. So it seems like it's a spotty issue, and it was worse for some and better for others, which is kind of weird. If it's a network outage, why would it affect different people differently in different regions? I guess it had something to do with certain servers or whatever, okay? So, here's the deal with this, right? In regards to PlayStation Network going down and causing this widespread havoc, I recall many, many years ago, back in the PlayStation 3 era, you may recall it was 2011, and due to some hacker group, what was the name of the squad? Was it like Lizard Squad or something like that? They hacked PlayStation Network apparently, and due to this security breach, Sony went into panic mode because they were afraid that all the customer data was going to end up being compromised. So they purposefully took down PlayStation Network for like a month. No one could play games on PlayStation Network for like 30 days as they redesigned their security system in order to prevent this kind of access from happening in the future. Since 2011, we have not seen anything like this happen to any major gaming network. Not the Xbox Live system, not PlayStation Network, not the Steam Network. There's been some outages here or there, but never anything so extensively bad that it's gone down for like more than a day. Uses a blip here, a blip there, down a few hours, big deal, comes back. So this was big news that PlayStation Network was down on Friday. Now you maybe say, well, I don't really get it. Like, why is this such a big deal? Well, there's a couple of reasons. Number one, obviously, when PlayStation Network is down, it means no one can play any PlayStation games online at all. Doesn't matter what console you're on, PS3, PS4, PS4 Pro, PS5, PS5 Pro. When there's no network, you're not playing anything online at all. It's just not possible, okay? And that sucks, obviously, right? But people started to realize that in the modern era of 2025 gaming, it's not necessarily just about online play anymore, okay? So first off, if you have what's called console sharing enabled, meaning you have multiple accounts on your console and they can access your game library or vice versa, or if you don't have your console enabled as what's called the primary console for your account, when PSN is down, you can't play any games. Yeah. So unless it is your console and the primary console and everything's linked that way, you no longer have access to any games at all. So there were some people who were like, I booted up my PS5 and because Xbox Live was down, I couldn't access any games on my console at all. They were all just like, nope, sorry, come back later. Okay. Now, there's some other situations as well that came up that people didn't realize. For example, there are some games that you think you're playing offline, but for some odd reason, they have an always online mechanic you may not even be aware of, and they don't have the ability to be played without that internet connection, and therefore, you can't play them. Okay? Now that's stupid. If it's a single player game and you're not actively choosing to access the online multiplayer, why can't you play the game? Some games were just coded like that. So there were a good selection of games that were not available when PlayStation Network was down simply because of the way that they were made with this online always connection issue. In addition to this, a huge oversight was discovered that no one had figured out until this happened. Just listen to this one. So as you well know, when PlayStation 5 was released many years ago, there were two models, the disc and discless versions. There's one model that had the disc drive installed onto it and another model that didn't have the disc drive. Now, what Sony eventually did is they started selling the disc drive separately as an add-on. And now with the current PS5 Pro system, the base system does not come with the disc drive no matter what. You have to get just the base system without the drive. If you want the drive, you have to buy it separately and then have it be a separate accessory or peripheral for your PS5 Pro, okay? However, get this. When you boot up your PS5 Pro, your disk drive has to sync with your PS5 via the PlayStation Network. Yeah. So there were people who had their PS5 Pros off and the network went down. They turned on their PS5 Pro, and since the network was down, they couldn't use their disk drive, and they owned all of their games on disk. So they couldn't play any games at all because their disk drive was essentially bricked until PlayStation Network came back. Now, some people had left their PS5s on, and that was okay because the link had already been established and it didn't need to double check it. So it was fine. But if you turned off your PS5 Pro, you couldn't use your disk drive till the network came back. So this is what I mean. What's happening now more and more is basically we are all becoming reliant on an always connected internet connection. And if we don't have internet, we can't do anything. Okay? Right now, if my internet went out, I'm pretty sure I could play a bunch of games on my PC and I could still record. I just obviously wouldn't be able to stream or upload, but at least I'd be able to play a lot of the games. You know, obviously I can't play Street Fighter online. You know, I can't play anything with an online component, but I could still boot up and play games, right? Via Steam, these games are offline, so you should be all right. But what if I can't access Steam at all because the internet's down, right? What if my internet's out? How do I access Steam to play these games? Steam has gone down while I was playing games. Sometimes this happens on like Tuesday afternoons, right? And when Steam goes down, you can still play the games offline, okay? But you just can't play them online. So as long as you're playing a single player game with the offline component, you're good. I remember distinctly this happened when I was playing the Warhammer game, Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2. I was like right in the middle of it and then it crapped out, but then I was able to keep playing it after it crapped out. I was like, oh, okay, at least you could still play, right? So that's a good thing. But this whole online component deal, right? It's an interesting subject of debate, and it's becoming more and more prominent in the modern era. Let's be honest. Can we very much be honest with each other? Physical discs are on the way out, whether you like it or not. Very shortly, you will not be able to purchase physical discs for any console or the PC. A lot of these physical copies you buy now, you open a game box, and there's no disc inside. There's a voucher with a code that you enter into your online service of choice, and you just download the game digitally anyway. They're not even bothering to produce the physical discs anymore. These game publishers don't want to spend the money to have the logistics to mass produce the discs, print them, put them in boxes, and then have that physically available. All right. Now, the writing was on the wall many years ago during the Hardcore Gaming Season giveaway when I started giving away empty boxes as rewards. And everyone made fun of me, but I gave them away for free. Now, game companies are charging you for empty boxes, but you gave me shit for giving the box away for free? Well, fuck you. All right, I'm kidding. That was a joke, obviously. But no, this is the truth is basically, basically, these publishers have been going this way for many, many, many years. All right, they have been. And people just want to like ignore everything going on around them in the real world. No, I don't like that. So I stick my fingers in my ears like I can't hear you, neener, neener, neener. No, it's been happening. All right, these companies don't want to give you physical copies anymore. To be honest, the physical copies never meant anything to begin with because you may not realize this. You never have owned a single video game that you ever purchased. Let me repeat that because a lot of people don't understand that. I feel like I need to highlight and emphasize this point. You have literally never owned a single video game that you have ever purchased. Do you understand that? If you don't understand that, I think I need to explain it to you, okay? When you buy a video game, you're not buying the game outright. You are purchasing a license to play that game. If you were buying the game outright and you owned it, that means you would own the source code. That means you would be able to mess with the game and edit the game and reproduce and resell the game. You don't have that. All you have is the ability to load the license and play the game, period. So because of that, people have gotten this weird misconception that because they had a physical copy that they owned the game. You do not. And these companies have found ways over the years, sadly, to screw over people out of their game licenses, right? Have this really weird security system, this DRM system, where you need to have a code or a password or something to access the game. But then once that system gets shut down at some point, the game's dead. You can never access it ever again. Or what about buying access to a game via a network, but then they shut down that network? Oops. Now you can't ever play the game ever again, right? Or you can't re-download it if you don't already have it stored locally. So this has been a big issue. Everything going digital, everything going online. And I think finally we got a big reality check this last Friday when PlayStation Network went down and all of a sudden no one had access to a bunch of content on PlayStation consoles, right? So, I mean, here's my take on it, all right? I used to be 100% a console gamer for an extended period of time. I would say it was probably around 2012, 2013 when I started direct capture, all right? And I went pure console because my PC wasn't good enough to basically direct capture and play a game at the same time. So I just went pure console. And I was pure console from then all the way until summer of 2024 when a fan so generously gifted me this high-end gaming PC that I've been using ever since. I was always beholden to either PlayStation Network or Xbox Live. If they were up and running, great. But if they weren't, I was basically screwed. I guess to some extent you could also say Nintendo Online as well, although I don't think Nintendo Online is as bad with the access of games. But maybe it is. I don't even know how they really work because I don't really play Nintendo that much to really understand it. But yeah, so all this time, I'm like, yeah, you got to pay for the services and whatever. And then I became a full-time PC gamer, right? With exceptions, I have PS5 Pro and I still play on it from time to time. But for the most part, I'm all PC now, right? I'm all in on PC. I have not spent a single dollar having to access Steam or play games online. I don't have to pay for these networks, okay? Why is it, let's be honest here, why are people paying for Xbox Live and PlayStation Network when you can get all of those features, all of that access, all of it absolutely for free on PC? Right? For years, the justification was, oh, well, it's because we're providing you all these services. We're giving you a messaging system. We're giving you voice chat. We're giving you all of that. And that is all well and good. They're right. On Xbox Live, you got a friends list. You got voice chat. You got all that. You got that on PlayStation Network. But to be honest, how many of us are actively really using those networks in 2025? Most of us have moved on, right? If you're going to talk to your friends online, you're probably using Discord to have voice chat, to invite people to games. Discord has full integration on all of these consoles now too. And Discord is free. So why exactly are we actually paying for Xbox Live and PlayStation Network in the modern era? What benefits are we getting by paying for these services monthly that we wouldn't get if we were to be a PC gamer and don't have to pay for these services? And the answer is very simple. Absolutely nothing. Zero. There is no benefit at all to being a monthly subscriber of Xbox Live or PlayStation Network in the modern era. These companies will try to justify and be like, oh, but you get access to games every month. We'll give you 3 free games and we'll do this and do that. It's all bullshit. In fact, Sony has already announced they're phasing out PlayStation 4 games. The only games available now that for free will be on PS5. They're reducing their number of games that are available. It's all smoke and mirrors. In truth, there is no real benefit anymore to paying for these networks. They're just arbitrarily forcing you to do it because you've always had to. But you notice they're not improving the networks. They're not adding features. They're not doing anything to increase the quality of what you're getting, yet they're charging you more. They have routinely increased the cost of these services in the last several years, but not added any added benefits. So why is it that if you're a PC gamer, you don't have to pay for Steam, you don't have to pay for the online connectivity to any of your games, you get free voice chat and everything via third-party apps like Discord, and you're not paying a dime. But then if you go on console, all of a sudden you have to pay for these networks. I think it's time, as a gaming community as a whole, for us to finally get together and put our foot down about these and say, we don't want to pay anymore.